I was at a friend's apartment a few months ago, and she had this beautiful three-wick jar candle on her coffee table. $60, she told me, from a boutique brand she'd been wanting to try. The thing had been burning for maybe 2 weeks, and when I looked at it, there was this deep well carved straight down the center, surrounded by a thick wall of perfectly intact, untouched wax. She saw me looking at it and said, "Yeah, it doesn't really throw scent anymore. I think I got a dud." She hadn't gotten a dud. She'd gotten a candle that worked exactly the way candle wax is designed to work when you don't know the one rule nobody tells you at the register. That ring of wax lining her jar wasn't a defect. It was the predictable outcome of a physical property that the candle industry has never had much incentive to explain. Candle wax has memory. That is not a metaphor. When you light a candle for the first time, the heat from the flame melts the wax nearest the wick outward in a pool. Wherever that pool stops when you blow the candle out, that is the boundary. The wax solidifies, and from that point forward, the candle will only ever melt to that same diameter. Every subsequent burn follows the path set by the first one. The industry calls this a memory burn. If you light a 3-inch wide candle, burn it for 45 minutes because you're heading to bed, and blow it out, you've just told that candle to ignore roughly half its own wax for the rest of its life. According to the National Candle Association's own burning guidelines, a candle should burn 1 hour for every inch of diameter. A 3-inch candle needs 3 hours, a 4-inch jar candle needs 4. Most people don't burn candles for 3 to 4 consecutive hours on a Tuesday evening, and so most candles tunnel. Here's what tunneling actually costs. On a 10-ounce candle with a 50 to 60-hour burn time, tunneling eliminates 10 to 18 hours of fragrance and light. That's roughly a third of the product, still sitting in the jar technically, but functionally useless. The average American candle buyer spends $45 a year on candles, according to consumer survey data compiled across the industry. If 20 to 30% of that wax goes unburned, the consistently cited range for tunneled candles, that's $9 to $13.50 per person per year, not evaporating, just sitting there in a ring. That $45 figure is the average. When consumers actively purchase candles rather than receive them as gifts, women spend $145 a year and men spend $143. At 25% waste, that's $36 a year in wax you paid for and never burned. Candles are present in 7 out of 10 American households. Scale that waste across roughly 91 million homes, and the collective annual loss approaches $1 billion in unburned wax sitting in jars on nightstands and bathroom shelves across the country. Tunneling creates a feedback loop that makes the problem self-reinforcing. As the tunnel deepens, the wick sinks lower into the jar where it gets less oxygen. Less oxygen produces a smaller flame. A smaller flame melts less wax, which means a narrower pool, which deepens the tunnel further. Eventually, the wick drowns in its own shallow melt pool and self-extinguishes, sometimes with inches of good wax still clinging to the walls. Royal Flame Candle Company put it plainly, that stranded wall of wax represents real, paid-for fragrance that will never reach your room. Cheaper candles make this worse. If the wick is undersized for the jar diameter, more common in mass-produced candles using less expensive components, the flame can't generate enough heat to reach the edges regardless of burn time. That's not user error, that's a manufacturing choice. Container and jar candles, the most popular format among American consumers, held 57.7% of market share in 2025. They're also the format most prone to this exact problem. If you've ever tossed a half-used candle because it stopped throwing scent, or scraped leftover wax from a jar wondering why there was so much left, the answer was probably set in the first hour you owned it. One burn too short on the first night. What's worth noticing is the incentive structure. Newell Brands, the parent company of Yankee Candle, generated nearly $900 million in net candle sales, The North American candle market represented $3.12 billion in 2025. This is an industry built on repurchase. Kathy Lavanier, president of the National Candle Association, said it directly. Consumers love candles. This survey shows that candles are a daily ritual for many people. A daily ritual that, for most buyers, consumes only 70 to 80% of each product before the next purchase. Trimming the wick to a 1/4 inch before each lighting extends burn time by up to 25%. That's on the National Candle Association's own website. The first burn rule is on there too, but the information lives in care guides that come after the sale, if they come at all. Nothing on the shelf, nothing at checkout. The purchase happens in the fragrance aisle. The education happens on a blog post you would have to go looking for. Meanwhile, 31% of premium brands have started offering refillable candle systems, and the sustainable candle market hit $1.8 billion in 2024. The industry is finding ways to sell you the solution to a problem it never quite explained in the first place. That $60 candle on my friend's coffee table had about $20 worth of wax frozen to its walls. She threw it out the following week and bought another one. Same brand. She liked the scent.